Spent a year dodging bullets overseas, dreaming of holding my newborn son for the first time. But the moment I stepped off that plane, my wife wouldn't look me in the eye, and my mother whispered, "Are you sure that baby's yours?" That single question led me to a truth more devastating than anything I faced in combat. My name is Jake. I've served in the U.S. Army for the past 7 years. Duty, honor, sacrifice, it's the life I chose. But nothing in my military career prepared me for what I was about to face at home. Right before I shipped out for my latest deployment, 12 long months in Afghanistan, my wife, Sarah, gave me the news that lit up my world. She was pregnant. We cried. We laughed. I kissed her stomach and whispered to the baby, promising I'd come home safe. Those early months overseas were brutal. Dust, heat, adrenaline. But I lived for those video calls. Even with the time difference and weak connections, I'd do anything to see Sarah's face. We'd talk about names, baby clothes, paint colors for the nursery. She sent me bump photos, ultrasound images. I carried them like a shield against the war outside. My unit joked I was more excited to be a dad than a soldier. And they weren't wrong. Every bullet I dodged, every step through enemy territory, I told myself, just make it back to them. But as the months rolled on, I noticed something. Sarah's calls grew shorter. Her smiles felt forced. She said she was just tired, new baby, hormones, stress. I wanted to believe her. Still, something inside me twisted when I spoke to her in those final weeks. Like I was reaching out, but she was already gone. Then came the day I'd waited for, the flight home. I imagined holding my son, kissing my wife, starting fresh. But when I stepped off that plane, she wouldn't meet my eyes. She hugged me, but it felt rehearsed. And then my mom, with that look only mothers have, leaned close and whispered, "Jake, are you sure that baby's yours?" But what I discovered at home would make me question everything. The airport was packed with cheers, welcome signs, and teary reunions. I scanned the crowd, heart pounding, until I saw Sarah, holding a baby wrapped in blue. I rushed over, dropped my duffel, and pulled them both into my arms. But something was off. She hugged me like someone greeting a distant relative, not a husband back from war. Her body was tense. No tears. No warmth. And when I leaned in to look at my son for the first time, I froze. Michael. That's what she said his name was. He was beautiful, but there was no trace of me in him. Pale skin, a head of soft blonde curls, light green eyes. My family? Brown hair, deep-set eyes, olive skin. I tried not to dwell on it. Babies change. Genes mix. That's what I told myself. But the seed of doubt had been planted. When we arrived home, things only got stranger. My mom, usually so warm and gentle, barely spoke. She just watched. Studied the baby like she was trying to solve a puzzle. My dad offered an awkward welcome and quickly excused himself. Sarah's mother, Diane, showed up later. No hug. No smile. Just a sharp nod and a "you're back." That was it. The tension in the room was thick, like everyone knew something I didn't. I asked Sarah again, when was Michael born? She hesitated. Said it was early. Labor complications. Didn't want to worry me. But something didn't add up. He was big. Alert. Too strong to be a few weeks old. Later that night, I heard whispers, my name in hushed tones behind closed doors. Snippets like "he doesn't know" and "you can't hide this forever." I confronted Sarah the next morning. Her face went cold. "I told you, stop questioning me. He's your son. What more do you want?" But the cracks were growing, and so was the feeling in my gut. The evidence was mounting, but I wasn't prepared for what I'd find next. If you're still watching, you can feel the tension building, right? Make sure to hit that like button if you think something's off with Sarah, and stick around because what Jake uncovers next is even more shocking. The next few days felt like living in someone else's house. Sarah avoided eye contact. The baby cried at night, and I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to quiet the war zone in my head. But this wasn't combat. This was worse. I couldn't shoot my way out of this. Instead, I turned to what I knew: patterns, evidence, gut instinct. I started tracing the timeline. Backtracking from Michael's supposed birthday to the last time I'd been home. Something didn't fit. According to Sarah, he was born 2 weeks early, but even with that, the math didn't add up. Not unless she was already pregnant before I left. I opened her old social media profiles, nothing new, but I dug deep. That's when I saw it. A photo posted during the first month of my deployment. It had been deleted, but cached on a tagged page: Sarah at a barbecue, standing too close to a man I didn't recognize. Hand on her lower back. Both of them laughing. Her eyes, the same sparkle I used to see when she looked at me. No caption. Just hearts. I felt sick. That night, while Sarah was asleep, I drove to the drugstore. Bought a DNA paternity kit. I hid it under the passenger seat of my truck, hands shaking as I tucked away the receipt. What kind of man tests his own child behind his wife's back? I wrestled with it, every hour, every feeding, every little yawn from Michael pulling at my heart. What if I was wrong? What if I was just paranoid from being gone so long? What would you do if you were in Jake's boots? Would you take the DNA test or confront her directly? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I'm curious to hear how you'd handle it. But I couldn't ignore the voice inside me anymore. A few days later, while Sarah was at her mother's, I stood over Michael's crib. My hands trembled as I gently swabbed his cheek, whispering an apology to a baby who might not even be mine. I sealed the kit, sent it off in a plain box, and waited. The results were about to arrive, and nothing could prepare me for the truth. The days that followed were the longest of my life. Every ding from my phone made my heart skip. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. I'd sit in Michael's room, watching him breathe, wondering if the bond one felt was real or built on a lie. I wanted the results, but I also didn't. Then, one morning, while I was alone in the kitchen, my phone buzzed. Subject: DNA results enclosed. I stared at it, hands frozen, like I was defusing a bomb. Click. Open. Line by line, I read through the scientific language, until I saw the words that shattered me. Probability of paternity, 0%. 0. Nothing. No connection. No chance. My knees gave out. I slid to the floor, gasping like I'd been hit in the chest. I had survived mortar blasts and firefights, but this? This broke something deeper. Tears came hard and fast. I wasn't just mourning a lie, I was mourning a son who was never mine, a life I'd imagined, a marriage I thought I understood. I sat there for over an hour, gripping the edge of the counter, trying to breathe. That night, I waited for Sarah to come home. I had the results printed out, folded once, placed gently on the dining table. She walked in, tossed her keys, and froze when she saw the envelope. "What's this?" she asked. "Read it." She didn't even sit down. Just opened it, scanned the page, and her face drained of color. "I don't know what this is," she said quickly, voice rising. "You went behind my back? You don't trust me?" I didn't say a word. I just stared at her. Then, the panic set in. Her voice cracked. "Jake. It was a mistake. It was just once. I didn't think you'd ever find out." But I wasn't ready for what came next. Because Sarah's confession revealed an even deeper betrayal. Sarah stood frozen, tears welling in her eyes, but I could see it. The guilt wasn't new. It had been living under her skin for months. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered. "It just happened." I clenched my fists. With who? Silence. Then came the final blow. "Mark," she said. It was Mark. My best friend. My neighbor. The guy who waved at me every morning, who promised to watch over Sarah while I was gone. The man I trusted like a brother, had been sleeping with my wife and raising my son. Everything inside me collapsed. It wasn't just betrayal, it was betrayal squared. From the two people I trusted most. She said it was during the first few weeks after I left. She was lonely. Mark stopped by to check in. One thing led to another. The usual excuses. But none of them mattered. The damage was done. Legally, I was still listed as Michael's father. That meant I had rights and responsibilities. Custody battles. Child support decisions. Lawyers. I didn't want to abandon a child, but I also couldn't pretend everything was okay. In the end, I filed for divorce. I walked away with my dignity barely intact, my heart ripped apart, but with clarity. Trust isn't something you give lightly. Loyalty means nothing without truth. And sometimes, the deepest wounds don't bleed, they linger in silence, in memories, in empty cribs. I survived war overseas, but the real battle was waiting at home. Have you ever uncovered a family secret? Share your story in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life revelations.